Earth. Home. The third blue rock from the Sun. The only known planet where life can thrive. We have around 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, and 1% argon, water vapor, and carbon dioxide, give or take. The perfect balance to support our respiration. The troposphere is the lowest and densest part of Earth's atmosphere, 5 to 9 miles thick. It's the part of the atmosphere that keeps changing our weather. For any life to exist, we would need this atmosphere and the same combination of gases to breathe. If all the planets in our solar system were combined to become a mega-Earth, then humans wouldn't have evolved the way we are today, and we'd have a very different planet. If we take the landscape of Mars, we'll only have solid land without large bodies of water. Earth is the only planet in our solar system with bodies of water. One of the first wonders to see will be Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system. It towers Mount Everest by a long shot at 78,000 feet above the ground. VALLES Marineris is a group of canyons that make the Grand Canyon in the U.S. feel like a average one. This wonder stretches for almost 2,500 miles and goes more than 4 miles deep. On top of these epic terrains, there's plenty of other grand-scale locations on Mars that are way bigger than the ones on Earth. The planet might be as large as Jupiter. If the Earth were the size of a grape, then Jupiter would be the size of a basketball. We'd have the size of Jupiter and the rings of Saturn floating around us. The rings may seem like some large chunks of rock in the air, but they're actually ice particles and chunks of iced rocks. They range from the size of pebbles to car-sized ones. Saturn's rings are supported by the unique gravity in the region. With a lot of these ice rocks floating in the sky, there won't be much sunlight entering the planet, which means the planet will always be colder than usual. Not to mention the many moons it has. Our megaplanet could also have many moons circling above us, contributing to the tidal waves. Jupiter is known for the red spot, a place twice the size of Earth that has hurricane-like storms that have been going on for hundreds of years. The people of Mega-Earth will settle far away from it. Mercury is a planet but looks like the Moon due to all the craters lying around. That's because of many asteroids and comets striking it over billions of years. But the landscape here mainly consists of mountains, highlands, cliffs, and valleys. The Caloris Basin is almost 1,000 miles wide. They believe it was formed by a comet. The deserts on Earth are mainly hot and consist of dunes of sand, but they also have flat plains and small hills. The largest desert in the world is the whole Antarctic continent. Mercury has no atmosphere to trap any heat, so it gets really hot when the sun is facing it and freezing cold when the planet turns away from it. On this combined mega-Earth, the deserts will most likely have a similar landscape to that of Mercury. The animals living here will probably be something like giant scorpions and desert snakes that soak in some sun during the day and go out hunting at night. But the soaring day temperatures would melt anyone walking. And even though Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, it's not the hottest. Venus has temperatures of nearly 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists believe that the lands here are flat because of the extreme temperatures, but it's not all flat, with some volcanoes and highland areas. We can probably find this terrain and climate near the equator, since it's always hot there. Humans can't live there unless they build special domes to sustain life. But since the planet is now huge, not all its territory needs to be populated. Some areas will have the proper atmosphere for breathing, but some places might not have such luxuries. Over at the poles, the climate will most likely mimic Pluto's, even though it's not technically a planet anymore. In 2006, they officially declared it a dwarf planet, and it's even smaller than the Moon. There's not much known about this little mini floating rock, except that it's composed of around 70% rock and 30% ice. Scientists believe that a part of its surface is covered in frozen nitrogen, solid methane, and carbon dioxide. Since the megaplanet is huge, gravity might be quite strong here. Jupiter's gravity is enough to double your weight. Humans will most likely be really tall and mega-sized to match the big planet. Even the oceans will be huge. Our oceans will look like little lakes compared to what Mega-Earth has in store for us. Humans need something close to 24 hours in a single day. Our bodies adjusted to it quite well, but it wouldn't affect us too much if the day had a few extra hours or a few hours less. We can't live on any other planet without wearing the proper gear. We wouldn't last more than a few seconds in places like Jupiter, Neptune, and Saturn. It's possible to last as long as you can hold your breath on Mars. The atmosphere is thin and the gravity is similar to ours, but you might freeze. Even though it's a red planet, it's actually very cold and has ice caps in the poles covered with carbon dioxide. The same's true for Mercury. You can only last there as long as you can hold your breath and be in the sweet spot between the sunrise and the sunset. Ancient civilizations wouldn't have been as diverse as they were on Earth, since the extreme terrains and conditions wouldn't have allowed for discovery and training. But eventually, as humans developed special technologies for certain areas, different cultures would emerge. Many animals would also evolve in specific and unique ways, but because of the planet's enormous size, isolation, and being on top of the food chain would let certain animals be around since the beginning of the planet without evolving. So it's possible that this mega-Earth might have ancient dinosaurs roaming around, and they'd be even bigger than the ones on Earth. And even though there's a high chance that some humans might be physically different than each other, there might even be more than one species of humans living on opposite ends of the planet. Because of the isolation, they evolved in their own ways according to their surroundings. Over the centuries, technological advancements would spread different cultures around, and we'd be more open to each other. Neanderthals and Homo sapiens once lived side by side and were considered as the two species of humans. Neanderthals were intelligent and used tools for hunting and drawing. Homo sapiens were survivors and wandered around to discover new land. There could be two dominant human species and other minor ones that live in certain areas on Mega-Earth. They'd be bigger, tougher, and faster than us. The ones who live by the trees would have elongated limbs to stretch out and swing from tree to tree. The ones that live in savannas will probably run really fast and have long legs for that. Countries and cities will be bigger than what we have on regular Earth. A country can be as big as Earth itself. The human population can reach tens of billions. Special transportation technology might be invented for people to travel from one continent to another. Covering those distances can take months or even years if using regular aircraft. High-speed trains that travel so fast over land and rocket-like planes going through the sky. Traveling through oceans will require extremely sturdy ships. Traveling through the Atlantic Ocean is already scary for many, so imagine going on a voyage across a body of water that's potentially 8 times the size of Earth. We're going to need a bigger boat. There'll be areas to avoid, like the red spot with its perpetual storms raging on, but the tourist industry might have some room for anyone who wants to see it. Living on such a huge planet is unlikely going to become a reality for most of us anytime soon. But scientists are already discussing moving to other planets to find a new home for humans. 2022 and 2023 have been landmark years for discovering new, fascinating worlds. Last year, NASA surpassed 5,000 confirmed exoplanets. The list is incredibly diverse. It includes rocky super-Earths, gas giants like Jupiter, ice giants like Neptune, and so on. And this is just the beginning. There might be more than 1 trillion exoplanets in our galaxy alone. But the most important question is, how many of them are habitable, for us? Are there any planets on this list that could have life on them? Or that could be a future home for us? Of course there are. And in 2022-2023, we found as many as 5 of them. So buckle up and hang on for a wild ride beyond our solar system. The first planet on our list is Wolf 1069b, a boring and stodgy designation. So I'll simply nickname it Wolfie, because hey, who's going to stop me, NASA? A new study conducted by 50 starry-eyed astronomers confirmed something awesome. This exoplanet, Wolfie, which is located just 31 light-years away from us, could potentially be a rocky world. In other words, theoretically, it's a habitable planet. The team behind this discovery used a technique called radial velocity to detect the exoplanet. This is a way scientists study the movements of stars and planets. It's as if when you're playing catch with a friend, as they throw the ball to you, you can see it coming closer and closer. It's kind of like radial velocity. When a planet is moving towards us, it makes the star it orbits appear to be coming closer to us. When the planet is moving away from us, it also makes the star look more distant. Scientists can use this information to figure out what the planet is doing and how big it is, and that's how they found Wolfie. This exoplanet is estimated to be the Earth's size and about 1 1/3 times the mass of our planet. It's orbiting a red dwarf star who I'll call Wolfie's mama. But here's the real kicker. Wolfie orbits within its star's habitable zone, which means it's a prime candidate for liquid water to exist on its surface. That's like hitting the exoplanetary jackpot. Ooh, wish I had a ticket. The study estimates that if Wolfie does have an Earth-like atmosphere, temperatures could rise as high as 55 degrees Fahrenheit, which would mean liquid water could pool on the planet's day side. But here's the catch. The exoplanet is tidally locked to its star, meaning that the same side always faces the star. Just imagine, one side of the planet is always basked in the warmth of its star, while the other is in eternal darkness. Like middle school. Just kidding. The team behind the discovery believes it's a prime candidate for further studies, but we'll probably have to wait another 10 years for answers. Until then, we'll just have to keep searching the skies with our telescopes and crossed fingers. Our next planet is TOI 700e. What's a good nickname? NASA has just discovered a new planet that's set to take the galaxies by storm, or shall we say by orbit. I'll nickname it Toys Were Us. It's almost the size of Earth, most likely has liquid water on its surface, and it's only 100 light-years away. We're not talking about a road trip, of course, but this is close enough in the grand scheme of things. Toys Were Us is the 4th planet in its system, and it's got a bit of a short orbit, just 28 days to circle its star. Well, at least you would have a birthday every month. Hooray! This time, the discovery was made using the transit method. Planets themselves are incredibly small and hard to detect, but when a planet is in front of its star, it blocks some of the light coming from it, making it look a little bit dimmer. As soon as the planet moves away, the star gets brighter again. So, to find the planet, scientists watch very carefully to see if the star's brightness changes. If it does, that means there's probably a planet playing hide-and-seek with us. And that's how they discovered Toys Were Us. The TESS mission discovered it. It discovered 66 new exoplanets and 2,100 more candidates waiting to be confirmed. TESS has been very busy creating imaging for 75% of the sky. Talk about efficiency. Toys Were Us is located in the optimistic habitable zone, between planets C and D, but it may be tidally locked, just like Wolfie, so we might have to settle for a one-sided water world. The discovery of Toys Were Us is a promising prospect for future follow-up observations, and it demonstrates the potential for TESS to find even smaller exoplanets in the future. Who knows? It may find a new home for humanity among the stars one day, or at least a new vacation spot. Next, we have twins GJ1002b and GJ1002c. The galaxy just got a little bit closer to us with the discovery of 2 exoplanets, which I'll nickname Hansel and Gretel, that are just a stone's throw away from our solar system. That's right, these 2 Earth-like planets are located less than 16 light-years away, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump in space terms. For comparison, Proxima Centauri b is the closest Earth-mass exoplanet at 4.2 light-years away. So, these 2 new neighbors are among the closest to us. They both orbit a red dwarf star with barely 1/8 the mass of the Sun. It's quite cool and faint, but that's okay, since both planets are very close to it. Hansel takes 10 days to orbit its star, while Gretel takes just over 21 days. Even more birthdays, I guess. The discovery was made by an international scientific team and was no small feat. The team had to work together with 2 instruments, espresso and Carmini's. The result? A cafe latte. Nah. What they got were measurements so accurate, you could practically count the number of craters on the planet's surfaces. The big deal is, the planets are located in the habitable zone of their star and are just the right size, making them excellent candidates for future atmospheric studies. The lead author says, "Nature seems bent on showing us that Earth-like planets are very common. With these two, we now know 7 in planetary systems quite near to the Sun. Who knew our neighbors could be so friendly?" In conclusion, the discovery of Hansel and Gretel is a giant leap for humankind. So let's all raise a glass of H2O, or whatever they drink on exoplanets, and celebrate it. The last planet on our list is LP 890-9c, which I'll call Bob. This super-Earth, located about 98 light-years away, is roughly 40% larger than our home planet. Moreover, it has a twin, which I'll nickname Ray, which is up to 75% larger than Earth. More space is always good, right? The two planets orbit around the red dwarf star. Unfortunately, Ray is quite hot to the touch, with an estimated temperature of 253 degrees Fahrenheit, so don't touch. Its sibling, Bob, is located in the habitable zone of its star, making it a prime candidate for the potential of life. But let's remember that the actual temperature of the planets depends on their atmospheres. It's possible that Bob, being the outermost planet, has a runaway greenhouse effect, making it more like Venus than Earth. So it might be too hot to be habitable at all. But let's not lose hope yet. The James Webb Space Telescope, launched in December 2021, is on the case. With its cutting-edge technology and powerful instruments, including spectrographs, it can peer into the atmospheres of exoplanets and reveal which ones might be habitable. So let's see what it discovers. This planet has been listed as the second most favorable habitable zone terrestrial planet. Now it's on the list with 7 other Earth-like planets, all about 40 light-years away from us. Maybe they'll become our new homes in the future.
What would happen to us and our planet if it became as big as the Sun? The diameter of the Earth is 8,000 miles. Crossing it is like driving back and forth across the USA 3 times. That doesn't sound like much, right? Well, how about repeating this journey 305 more times? Just imagine the gas expenses. This is the diameter of the Sun, about 865,000 miles. Compared to our Earth, the Sun is unimaginably huge. So what will happen to us if we catch up with it? There are 4 possible scenarios, depending on what we mean when we say the size of the Sun. Scenario 1. The Earth becomes as large as the Sun, but its mass remains the same. A colossal planet with the mass of a teeny tiny Earth. First, say bye-bye to gravity. The more massive the planet, the stronger its gravity is, and vice versa. Such a lightweight planet simply wouldn't be able to attract anything to itself. Gravity creates all the heavy substances. Everything, from pebbles to entire continents, is held thanks to it. I believe you've already guessed what would happen without it. We'd all turn into dust particles. Yes, the Earth simply becomes a dust cloud. Oh, and to add fuel to the fire, the gravities of other planets stretch us to the sides, leaving no chance to collect our planet back together again. This scenario doesn't look very good, does it? By the way, even if the Earth somehow remained a planet, life couldn't have originated on it in these conditions. There would have been a considerable distance between the center of the Earth and its surface. And remember, the planet's mass is minimal, so no gravity. It just wouldn't be able to hold the atmosphere. And without the atmosphere, living organisms cannot develop. Not like it would have mattered. The Earth now is a cloud anyway. So now this cloud, weighing about 10 times heavier than Jupiter, is gathering in space. As a result, it collapses and turns into a star. Say hi to the new Sun. Scenario 2. This works both as a separate scenario and as a result of the previous one. The Earth becomes as large as the Sun and gets its mass. Now we have 2 suns. We become a so-called binary star system. You know what that means? It's time to destroy our entire solar system. Imagine having 2 centers of mass in one system. The planet's orbits become unstable, perturbed by such a sudden change. Once they get closer to our ex-Earth, they collapse immediately. either from tidal forces or the ex-Earth's impact. Yes, even gas giants. Looking at you, Jupiter. Do you know which one survives and finally gets its revenge on us? Pluto. It would probably be the last remaining X-planet in the entire system. It's too far away to notice any changes, except for an increase in the mass of the center of the system. So Pluto's orbit comes closer to our two-star system, and that's it. The Earth and the Sun would have to accept that Pluto would be their only friend now. The protoplanetary disk that formed our system billions of years ago doesn't exist anymore, so no more planets can be created in our system. That's all well and good, but what about the Earth itself? What would life be like? Let's see. The nights and days now last longer because of the increase in the Earth's rotation time. There is probably a significant temperature drop in the North and South poles. Even on our current small planet, they get sunlight scarcely. So if the Earth's size increased, the area of the poles receiving sunlight would decrease even more. On a positive note, there's a lot more space now. No more overpopulation. The planet's size is so huge that it would take you years to get from one point to another. Yeah, if you think about it, we'd probably be very lonely there. But hey, who knows? Maybe rockets would become our primary means of transportation. Yeah, that would have been cool. There are many vast uncharted areas that no human ever saw or visited. We also wouldn't know about the existence of many different civilizations and tribes. Centuries pass, and many of us go away without ever meeting other people or learning about them. And that's if we can walk at all. Our bones cannot support our weight with such a considerable gravity, and our hearts have to work twice as hard to keep us alive. The birds can't fly anymore. Nothing can, precisely. All the existing trees fall down, and the new ones grow very close to the earth, like grass. Talking about the trees, how is our ecosystem doing? Well, not good. If we don't appreciate the environment on our small Earth right now, imagine what would happen if we had such a massive space at our disposal. I even assume that our tons of garbage would have overpowered even those endless supplies of trees and clean water that we would have in our new large home. Our machines and robots have to be huge to do at least something now. That's because even ordinary farms now are the size of the US states. I also assume that it would be much darker than we're used to. The Earth is so small now. Imagine what would happen when our planet becomes the size of the sun itself. Less sunlight means that we'd probably need an artificial sun. Also, the temperature differences on the planet's surface would be huge. If you're surprised, you probably underestimated the size of the sun. It's almost 110 times larger than the Earth. Our new Earth's equator equals our current Earth's 35 equators. Oh, and remember Pluto? Well, it's our only moon now. The first one would have probably crashed into us a long time ago, making us share the fate of the dinosaurs. In that case, all the water would likely evaporate from our planet. Anyway, there are thousands of bad possibilities, but let's just move on and focus on something good. Scenario 3. Same thing, but the Earth retains its density. Now this one is interesting. We're no longer a planet. We're a star now. In fact, we became even more massive than the Sun. Our planet now has a 3.9 solar mass because we need to balance our low density somehow. In short, it would be almost the same as in Scenario 2, but with more interesting long-term consequences. Since our Earth became 4 times as massive as the Sun, it would have burned its fuel quicker. Then it would evolve, and depending on the mass of its core, it either becomes a supernova or just blows off its outer layers to form a planetary nebula. If it goes supernova, the Sun that was so close to us blasts, and now there is just our ex-Earth, a lonely ball with a teeny tiny diameter of 12.5 miles. We're a neutron star. That is, a star made of degenerate neutron matter. That thing is ultra dense and spins very quickly, so you'd better stay away from it. If the Earth becomes a nebula, the Sun collects all the dust and adds it to its mass. Now we have a slightly more massive Sun and a white dwarf. The time passes, and Grandpa Sun lives out his life. It becomes a red giant after depleting the hydrogen in its core. It starts expanding and leaves its material, mostly hydrogen, on the white dwarf. That's us. When the matter reaches high enough temperatures and pressures, nuclear fusion happens. We become a nova. Yay, we're a star again. A lonely one, but a star nevertheless. So what happens next? You see, a star is a battle of opposing forces. One of them is gravity, which tries in every possible way to compress the lead into a small ball as much as possible. The second is a pile of fuel in the star's core, which, while burning, forms tons of energy and substantial hot temperatures. As long as these forces are in balance, the star lives. But when the star's fuel runs out, the star cools down. The pressure inside it drops. This means gravity has won. It squeezes the star with all its might, and as a result, the star goes, hooray! In just 15 seconds, the brightest light you've ever seen in your life flashes, and our ex-Earth goes supernova, leaving a stunning nebula behind. Anyway, don't worry. It's actually impossible for a rocky planet to be the size of the Sun. Only other stars can be that large. But wait, why is our Earth so small while the other planets are enormous? Do they just keep growing, or do they stop at some point? The more mass you add, the more compression you get. As planets become more massive, the gravitational compression increases. They stop growing when their mass reaches roughly 1.7 times that of Jupiter, or 540 masses of the Earth. After that, adding more mass to a planet will make it smaller, because the compression becomes stronger. In other words, our little thought experiment is impossible.